So let's get to this game tomorrow.
Yes.
TCU does present some issues for Michigan, things that they haven't really faced this year. They're facing a mobile quarterback for the first time with Max Duggan. All due respect to Talia Tagovailoa, but Max Duggan can make plays with his feet, and he has. And he's done it with the game on the line, and he has willed his team to victory a number of times. They've got a stud wide receiver, might be the best receiver in college football. They've got a stud running back, who's probably the best running back that nobody's heard of unless you paid a lot of attention to TCU football. And they've got some guys in the defensive side, particularly in the secondary, that have made some plays. They've made a lot. I think between three guys, they have 10 interceptions. So they've done a nice job back there. But they cannot stop the run. And this may be the downfall. What are you looking at here?
So, I mean, obviously Michigan's going to want to run the ball, and they always want to run the ball. And if you invite them to run the ball, they will gladly accept. And this 3-3-5 they run is forgive the term, but it's a light box, right? I mean, you always hear about teams want to overload the box, and it looks so weird when you see 6 guys basically near the line of scrimmage, and Michigan, you probably aren't going to get a lot of deep shots on them, but you got to take your 5 and 6 yard chunks and stay patient. I think they would love to hand the ball off 50 times and just run it. The strange thing about TCU, and I've watched, and I'm going to watch more of it today, they held Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson down at Texas in check. I mean, those guys didn't run it at all.
Yeah, Texas had 28 yards rushing that game on 22 carries.
Yep.
Robinson had 29 yards.
It wasn't all sack yardage.
No.
And so they did a great job, and I've watched a little bit of that game, and I didn't see them completely overloading, and playing against the run. And when you do that, I mean, Ohio State did that, right? And Ohio State, Donovan Edwards had 1 yard, 2 yards, drop for a loss. But when you break through that first wave, you got 75 yards of field in front of you, right? And when you're playing man coverage and overloading against the run, you're susceptible on the back end. TCU plays 3 safeties, and they have 2 outstanding corners. They got the Jim Thorpe Award winner, so that's all you need to know. And so bottom line is, I think it's one of those games that Michigan should be able to run the ball and should be able to do their damage that way. Offensively, TCU is you mentioned Maryland. You mentioned Tagovailoa. I think basically they are Maryland, except better at everything. Maryland has good receivers. TCU's receivers are better. Maryland has a mobile quarterback. TCU's is more mobile. Maryland had a good running back. TCU's is better. And Maryland, that game, I remember after that game seeing some feedback and taking some calls. Where's the Michigan pass rush? Well, when you have a mobile quarterback, you have to stay in your lanes. And the Michigan kids have talked about how it's not just get upfield and get to the quarterback at all costs. If you got to fill your lane, and sometimes that means just engaging a blocker so the quarterback can't run and try and keep him in the pocket. And so, that I would suspect, I mean, they'll get Mike Morris back, but I'm not sure if it's going to be a big day in terms of sacks, but I think it's what you got to do to contain a Max Duggan, because he can move. And so that Maryland game, what was the final of that? Was it 34-27, I think it was? Yeah, 34-27. Maryland got a late touchdown, but it was still, it was a football game. Michigan had to work hard to win it, and I expect tomorrow's game to be very close. Very close.
I guess I'm expecting Michigan to be able to run the football just fine, because when you look at this in the NFL, for instance, when the Lions took on the Bears the first time around, and we talked about, the Lions have a good running game. It's not a great running game. It's a good one. They're going against the Bears running game, which isn't very good. They give up 150 yards a game. It's the NFL, but the Lions they weren't averaging 240 yards a game like Michigan's run game is against a defense that gives up 150 yards a game on the ground. TCU is very middle of the pack when it comes to that defensively. In Michigan, I mean, it's their bread and butter. I happen to think Donovan Edwards is better than Blake Corum, and Blake Corum was fantastic. So you've got that advantage. Somebody brought this up when I asked what anybody's concern was for this game, and their concern was running back depth for Michigan. if something happens to Edwards, if he aggravates the hand and has to come out of the game or somewhere like that, do they have enough to continue to ground and pound?
It's valid. I mean, it's valid. They've, a year ago they had Hassan Haskins, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. I mean, that was a loaded running back room. This year, obviously with Corum's injury, C.J. Stokes was coming on for a while, and it seems like his carry count is down. It sounds like Khalil Mullings is now a full-time running back, and so that's he doesn't have a lot of experience. He threw the jump pass against Ohio State, but yeah. It's a legitimate concern, and Edwards, seems to be healthier, and they love to throw him the ball out of the backfield. And I think he was going to be a big part of the Ohio State game plan until he hurt his hand in terms of his ability to catch the ball. But yeah, I think running back depth is a legitimate concern. So I hear you, and whoever brought that up, yeah, he needs to stay healthy. If he gets dinged up, that's really going to. Michigan will be fighting shorthand. I mean, they're without Corum. They lost Eric All. Cade McNamara is obviously hurt, and they've been able to overcome it. But this is where depth matters the most when guys get hurt. And the one room there that's probably the quarterback room was pretty deep, and the tight end room was pretty deep. But you can't keep sustaining injuries to the same spots.
Yeah, and it feels like they've already gone through that depth issue this season by losing a guy or losing two guys and still being able to survive it. Now, can they lose a third guy and still be able to survive that in the quarterback room? Injuries are going to be decimating to any team if you lose your quarterback.
Yep.
How about throwing to TCU? If TCU loses Max Duggan, they're done. They can't compete.
Well, here's the thing. Their backup is a redshirt freshman who is the son of the former SMU coach. Is it Morris? I got to connect the dots on that, but it's his son, and he's actually older than the senior quarterback, Max Duggan.
But he's a redshirt freshman. Why, Doug?
Yeah, he's a redshirt freshman that's older.
Did he serve this country or something?
I don't know. I have to go.
Thought you had the answer.
I got to figure. Hey, man, I got 24 hours.
You got stuff to write down and put it in the bucket. Come on.
That's right.